So I was out in the shop today doing a little bit of work on one of my rifles, and I got to thinking, as I often do when I'm working on either a gun or a car. My brain tends to wander, my mind wanders when I'm out here thinking about stuff that's going on in the news and whatnot. And there's been a huge push recently, federally speaking, ever since Orlando on Sunday. There's been a big push to try and reinstate magazine capacity laws. There seems to be, don't know where they come up with the magic number. I'm not sure what expert, if any, they are getting their information from that causes people to think that a magazine capacity of, say, 10 rounds is any less dangerous than a magazine capacity of 30 rounds or 15 rounds or 17 rounds or whatever. You pick your capacity. New York went down as low as 7 rounds. Here's the thing about magazine capacity. It's ridiculous. All it does is it limits the person who is prepared for, it limits people like concealed carriers. Concealed carriers aren't out there every day carrying around a ton of ammunition, figuring that they're going to get in a gunfight. They're carrying a gun for the what if. What if something possibly happens? What if I happen to be in that movie theater in Aurora and a bad guy comes in? They're carrying a gun with one magazine. Most concealed carriers aren't carrying spare mags, and most of them, I should say, I don't know a single one who's carrying multiple spare magazines. Bad guys, on the other hand, however, when they prepare to go in to reap that kind of carnage, they're preparing. They know what they're going to do. They stock up. They get all their supplies in order. They get everything sorted out. They scout the area. Then they commit their act. They know what they're going to do. The concealed carrier is going to have their gun, and that is it. Whatever bullets are in it, they may have one spare magazine. The bad guy is going to come in with as much ammo as he thinks he needs to complete whatever it is he plans. So, Orlando, the guy went in, had tons of extra ammo. He knew what he was going to do. He took what he needed to have. Had I been a concealed carrier in there and I had limited capacity, I would be less able to try and take that bad guy out of the fight. Okay. In law enforcement, on our gun belts, we carry spare ammo. Here's my gun belt right here. I carry a Glock 17 that has a 19-round magazine in it, plus one in the pipe. So I have 20 rounds in my handgun, and then I carry 2 spare 19-round magazines. In addition to that, I carry a spare rifle mag, just in case something happens. I'm not carrying it because I'm planning to get into a gunfight. I'm carrying it because you never know what's going to happen if a gunfight starts. You go in as prepared as possible. In law enforcement, I'm not worried about concealing stuff. I carry what I need to carry. I have it on my belt so it's easily accessible if something happens. As a concealed carrier, I don't have that luxury of being able to carry whatever I want. Concealed means people can't see it, so I can't carry a whole bunch of spare magazines. The average concealed carrier in California is limited to a 10-round magazine. This is a Glock 26 mag. This is a 10-round magazine. This is my Glock 26 as I carried it on duty as my backup gun on my vest. Notice it doesn't have a 10-round magazine in it. It's got a 12-round magazine. But the gun's clear now. This is what they want to limit you to, is a 10-round magazine. Whereas your bad guy's going to come in and he's going to have how many ever bullets he thinks he needs. Magazine capacity laws do not stop bad guys. They only inhibit the good guys. For that matter, look at the shooting that occurred. They call it, they refer to it as the UCSB shooting, but it was actually the town of Isla Vista, which is near Santa Barbara. Look at that shooter. It was in California. He was limited to 10-round magazines. He bought as many as he needed. He took extra magazines. That's what bad guys do. Look at the shooting down in San Bernardino. Magazine capacity ban in California again. Did not stop the terrorists from getting high capacity magazines, and it did not And they brought spare mags. So they knew what they were going to do. They got what they needed to do it. I'm really curious who the expert is, or where these people are coming up with this magical number, whether it be 7 or 10 or whatever the limit, the round limit capacity. I think I want to say Colorado just didn't. Theirs was, I believe, 15. This is all off the top of my head. I don't recall. I do know California has a 10 round limit. It's been in place for 20 years now. However, it has never stopped anyone intent on committing crime in California from committing it. I already talked about San Bernardino. There was a shooting in Santa Monica a couple years ago. I don't recall exactly when it was, year-wise. The shooter was using an AR-15, and the cops recovered a whole ton of 30-round magazines. He also had, for whatever reason, a black powder cap and ball gun, I think was his handgun. But his rifle was an AR-15, and he had I want to say it was in the neighborhood of 10 or 12 30-round magazines. 30-round magazines for AR-15s have not been legal for sale in California for, like I said, almost 20 years, possibly longer. If you are able to show me an expert who suggests that limiting magazine capacity somehow makes people safer, I will show you a person who has never in their life been in a gunfight. Ask anyone who's ever been in a gunfight if they wish they had less ammunition on them. I've been in a gunfight. I did not think, wow, I'm glad my gun only had 8 rounds in the gun, my handgun that is. After I was involved in the shooting, I stopped carrying that gun because of the limited capacity. After that shooting, I switched over to a SIG 226 from my SIG 220. The 226 has a higher capacity. It's a 9mm gun versus a 45. I also carried higher capacity magazines than the standard mags. The SIG 226 standard magazine capacity is 15 rounds. I found that Metgar magazines, they offered an 18-round mag for them. So I carried those. There's a story on police1.com of a officer that was involved in a shooting. This is going back a number of years. He carried a 45 caliber Glock at the time. He had 3 spare magazines for it. He was involved in a shooting with the guy, and he had ended up, during that shooting, he depleted every round he had for all of his magazines. I think he had 1 round left after the whole thing was said and done. 13 of his hits out of all those rounds fired were lethal hits, would have been lethal. They would eventually have killed the bad guy. However, based on the motivation and possible drugs on board, they didn't stop the bad guy. The bad guy was in the fight, and he kept shooting at the officer. It was a long gun battle. The officer barely survived. That officer switched to a 9mm handgun because he switched to a 9mm Glock because he can carry more ammo. He also now carries a Glock 26 backup handgun, just like I do, for the same reason, because he doesn't want to run out of ammunition. He now carries 145 rounds of ammo on him, just like I carry a lot of ammo on me. I haven't sat down and counted out how many rounds I have on me, but it's far more than the 26 I used to carry. There is no one who's ever been in a gunfight who's going to suggest that having less ammunition on you is a good thing. These magazine capacity laws do not prevent crime. They only prevent good people from being better able to protect themselves and others. Who should we believe as far as safety goes? Experts in the field or politicians? I know where I'm going. I know who I'm relying on.